I'm back to raking. There's one swath over there. See, raking out there. It is still too wet to really be raking, but this is Wednesday, so this is day 12 for this alfalfa to be laying in the field. And so it's Wednesday, so on Friday it's supposed to rain again. We have not had a large amount of rain. We have just had enough drizzle and showers that it won't dry. You go a couple miles away from me and they've had 2 inches of rain since this hay's been cut. But like I said, we've had a bunch of times where a couple miles to the west and it's been raining cats and dogs, and then, you know, a few miles to the east, same thing. And a few miles to the east, they had 3 inches of rain, you know, over 3 days, where we just kept having, as soon as you thought, I think it's almost dry enough I could rake, it would drizzle again. So, like I said, it's still way too wet to rake, but if you can see, hey, I'll get out and show you what it looks like from the ground, but the hay is growing right through the swath, and once it does that, you've got to peel it up off the ground if you're going to dry, unless you're going to have, you know, 100k winds or 60-mile-an-hour winds. That hay is not going to dry until you get it unstuck from the ground. And the problem is when you're raking it like that, you're going to rake brand new growth in with it. So, but what the plan is now is I'm going to rake this crap up. This is Wednesday morning. I should wait till at least noon to do this, but I'm greedy and I got to do the whole half circle, so at some point you have to just start. So I'm going to rake this half circle up today, and what I'm hoping is there's enough air to get through it to do some drying, and that tomorrow will be Thursday, that, you know, by noon or something the dew will be off and there'll be enough drying that if I can get it down to the low 20s, I'm just going to bail this shit up, and I don't care anymore. And if I can't get it, you know, if I can't get it low enough, then it's just going to lay here and get another rain on it, and eventually I'll just bail it, haul it to a lowland and burn it. Of course, we're still in fire bands, you know, because that's how dry we are. Isn't that always funny how that works? Normally I don't slow down here at the ends, but seeing as I'm with you guys, I'm going to slow down. So I just, oops, sorry. I just raised it. I didn't raise it all the way though. And then I just skip every other. So then I'll do 3 passes, and then when I get back to the other end, I'll go back over to the far side. So here's a problem here. I've got the caster wheel in the pivot track, so I'm just gonna have to be careful. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll bring you out a little later. Hey guys, you don't hear me happy about wind much, but there's a little air moving. So what we're gonna, of course I stop in a real place with lots of tansy mustard and shitty hay, but there's the rake. So this swath and this swath are the last from that 1372. That one's with the 1383, and then the rest of it's with the 1383. 1383 I was able to cut lower, and then I had a foot more hay, and then I drove faster, so I have a smaller windrow. So it's too darn wet, but I'm gonna try to just stand it on its edge and see if I can't get it to dry. But of course I picked I don't know why I stopped here, but this swath is kind of typical. I had it set a little wider, and then, but like I said, I stopped at the worst spot. There's all this dandelion, but most of it's straight now. But it's grown through. Like I said, this is a little windrow. Like that's cleaning up, you know, because I cut it, I broke into it on the pivot track, so that's a small windrow. And same thing, I went and stopped in a weedy spot. I mean, right over there, there's nothing even growing there. So, and of course, this is a thin spot with more grasses that were here. Oh, here's a skipper for you. Shows I wasn't using GPS. So, but anyhow, that's what the hay kind of looks like. It's grown through. It's stuck right on the ground. I don't know what. Like, it's just right on the ground. And the ground's wet. So, but we're supposed to get rain, and now they're talking about tomorrow afternoon showers. But I'm already committed. I mean, that's just as wet as can be. But I'm committed now, so I'm gonna rake this stuff up. Here, I'll show you. Wheel rake can only do so much. So when it's that's gonna be missed. But the nice thing about baling your own hay is it really doesn't matter, because it's not gonna be pretty, but what you miss you'll get on the next cutting. So it'll be okay. So I've been raking the hay from the 1383, and it's nice. Because it was cut lower, and then I drove, like I said, I drove faster, so I made a thinner swath, because it's light hay, it's not heavy hay. So the faster you drive, the thinner your swath is, and so I drove fast. And anyhow, it made a tidier swath, which, like I said, I don't mind making wide and thin because it dries, but because it's grown through, this is raking way better than the other stuff. And it actually doesn't look bad. So, I know it's going to get too noisy to rake with the window open, but you can see that it's still reached out on the top with it, with everything on the bottom and green. But like I said, it's raking nicely. There's not a whole bunch left behind and all the top, you know, so it's really raking up quite nicely. Shut this window so we don't have to listen to those brake wheels going. Now, like I said, I could have made a thinner swath with the 1372 disc vine, but like I said, the adjustment for the pipe was seized, which a cut and torch, or I guess not a cut and torch, but a rosebud on the torch, and I could have heated that up and cooked the rust out of it and hit a hammer on it and broke it loose. Rough spot sprayer tracks. Like I said, every track that started in the field when I started, still here, all those ruts, and shake your fillings out. But like I said, here's my slough, and I have never had water stand in that slough before. I've had it wet, like the year I planted oats and underseeded it to alfalfa. It was too wet to farm, and they didn't even dig with potatoes in it the year before, and so I had about 3 spots across this middle of it, and then that one spot where I drive by to get my hay all the time still had potato ridges there. So, but anyhow, it's the first year I've ever had water stay in there all year. But right now my plan is, I thought maybe I could do 3 cuts this year, but with this being delayed, of course, I haven't got this baled yet either, so that's another one for us. So, but what my plan is now is I can do 2 cuts, and then I will spray the hay out. I will come in with the disc, and I will disc my pivot tracks like you see over there. I will disc my pivot tracks and a bunch of the really bad sprayer tracks from establishment year, and then I will zero till triticale in it if I can con my brother-in-law into sending one of his guys over with one of the air drills to plant it for me. if I can get that all worked out, because they'll be harvesting, so that might not work. But I don't, because it's, I mean, that blow sand, I really don't want to work it up in August, and you know, because you know, by the time you get it sprayed out, it might be closer to September, and if you have the right year, I might be able to grow 2 feet of feed. But if it's not the right year and we get an early frost, I don't want this to blow away in the winter time. So, like I said, my plan is to leave as much of the sod intact and just let it rot down without turning the soil over if I can get away with it. But I'll disc the pivot tracks and a bunch of the really bad sprayer tracks. I'll disc down, but I don't want to make this whole farm black, that's for sure. So that's the plan. But I'll bring you out again. It's, like I said, it's raking really nice. So this is where we put the swath board down on the mower and did our experiment to make really wide swaths. But because of the rain and they grow through, it was a failure. So here you can see I've driven on it. You have to rake it twice to get it all picked up. So we'll get out of this stuff. We'll get over here. See, like I said, there I drove on that, driving in a circle to rake it twice. So you compare that swath there to this swath. There's just no comparison. This swath was cut at the, you know, the regular. I mean, it's light hay, so it wasn't cut with too wide of a swath, but because it was in a better quality swath, it shed the water a little better, and then it raked up nice. And that's one pass, where those ones are 2 passes. So, like I said, the difference in the cut is nice. The lower cut, and of course I knew lower cut was better, but anyhow, that mower worked pretty good. So I bought the 1383, and the gentleman that I bought it from, the owner of the business, I told him that I wasn't really wanting to spend that kind of money, and to do it all I needed to finance it a little longer and do this and do that. And he's like, yeah, no problem. He says he's got a way I could either lease it or finance it, or lease it over 3 years and then turn it back and get a new one, or lease it over 4 years and then buy it out, or just buy it over 5 years, or do whatever option I wanted. And I said, well, I'm busy and I don't have the money to put down on it right now. And he says, hey, don't even worry about it. Just he said, just come in, shake my hand. I said, well, yeah, but I mean, I need to bring you a few $1,000s to hold the machine, don't I? He says, no, you don't. He says, I know who you are. Come in here, shake my hand, and you know, before summer's over, come in here with some money, and we'll sit down and we'll make a plan on how you want to finance this. So I'm not worried about it. I know where you are. So, like I said, a total difference than other places I've dealt with. Like I said, I could even try out a mower from one place without a deal written down and approved financing. So anyhow, so I bought the mower. Like I said, I haven't paid $1 for it. I just shook a guy's hand. So, but that still means something here. So anyhow, I've got this hay just about raked up, and like I said, I'm kind of where we cry about the wind all the time. It's nice to have a little bit of air moving around, and hopefully I can get her baled up. Just about lunchtime, I'm going to go in and make some gravy. I cooked a roast all night, so that'll be supper. But then Wyatt has just finished his last exam, so grade 11 is over for him now, and he's going to have some horses caught. We'll go ride a pasture after we get home, or after I'm done this, after lunch, we'll go ride a pasture and make sure we still got cows. So anyhow, hopefully I have a baling video soon to follow. So be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and have yourselves a great day, and take care.